Listen closely to the roofs of older neighborhoods on a hot summer day, and you might hear a faint metallic squeak. Up there, a silver metal globe is spinning silently in the sun. This simple device is a roof turbine ventilator, once a staple of home attic ventilation. It runs on 0 volts of electricity, yet it can cut your air conditioning bills by nearly 15%. It does this by lowering peak attic temperatures by up to 37 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a massive drop of about 20.5 degrees Celsius, completely free of charge. But if you walk through a newly built housing development today, these spinning globes are gone. In over 90% of new suburban neighborhoods across the United States, they have completely vanished. In their place are flat, silent shingles baking under the sun. And on the ground below, massive air conditioning units scream as they struggle to cool the house. Why did we abandon a free 0-volt cooling machine? Why are we suddenly paying thousands of dollars more to power companies instead? Some builders might tell you that a roof turbine ventilator is useless when the wind stops blowing, but that is a physical lie. It is a complete misunderstanding of basic thermodynamics. So who actually wins when these quiet metal globes disappear from our roofs? To find out, we have to look inside a roasting attic on a blistering windless summer afternoon. On a scorching July day, the air trapped directly under your shingles can easily climb to a stifling 150 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hot enough to slow cook food. As this intense heat builds, the air expands and becomes lighter than the cooler air inside your living space. This temperature difference triggers a natural physical force called the stack effect. The hot, pressurized air rushes upward, desperately searching for an escape route at the highest point of your roof. As this rising air pushes against the angled fins of a roof turbine ventilator, it forces the metal globe to spin. Think about that for a second. The heat itself drives the rotation, even when there is not a single breath of wind outside. It is a self-powering heat engine. Once that metal globe starts spinning, a second law of physics takes over. This is where Bernoulli's principle and the Venturi effect come into play. The spinning blades force air outward, creating a pocket of low pressure inside the turbine. This low pressure acts like a powerful natural vacuum. It actively sucks the stagnant, heavy air up from your ceiling joists and flushes it out of your home. This constant cycle is the secret to highly effective attic ventilation. But unlike modern electric exhaust fans, this system has no wires. There are no digital sensors to fail and no circuit boards to fry in a summer lightning storm. Instead, high-quality turbine ventilators rely on dual-sealed bearings. These tiny steel balls are lubricated for life and completely shielded from dust, ice, and rain. They are engineered to spin silently for 15 to 25 years. It is a mechanical cooling machine that costs absolutely nothing to run and often outlasts the roof itself. But a device this durable, this efficient, and this free was a direct threat to corporate profits. It had to be stopped. Yet the first group to target them was not the electric monopolies. It was actually your neighbors. In the 1990s, a massive wave of suburban sprawl swept across the country. With this housing boom came a new kind of neighborhood authority. Today, about 84% of newly built homes in the United States are governed by a Homeowners Association. These powerful local boards, known as HOAs, gained total control over the look of your home, and they quickly decided that the classic roof turbine ventilator had to go. To these aesthetic committees, a spinning metal globe was a visual crime. They labeled them as industrial eyesores. They claimed these devices made a quiet residential street look like a row of factories. So the HOAs rewrote their design guidelines to ban any attic ventilation equipment that protruded above the roofline. To be fair, these turbines were not completely perfect. If the internal bearings failed after decades of use, they could produce a squeaking noise that drove neighbors crazy. In freezing climates, they could also get locked up by heavy snow and ice. Even worse, if they were installed incorrectly, they could cause a physical glitch called short-circuiting. Instead of pulling hot air out, a poorly placed turbine can actually suck rain and snow backward into the attic. But instead of fixing these installation issues, the HOAs chose to ban them entirely. If you refused to take your turbine down, the penalties were swift and severe. Homeowners faced fines of hundreds of dollars per day. Some were even threatened with lawsuits or foreclosure. Under this intense pressure, cookie-cutter aesthetics triumphed over practical physics. Quiet, free cooling was traded for a uniform, sterile look. Your roof was transformed into a sealed heat track, practically forcing you to run your air conditioner. But many housing experts suggest the HOAs were just the local enforcers of this massive shift. The real trap was being set at a much higher level. It was quietly written directly into national building codes. Some critics argue these regulations were designed to turn your attic into a permanent energy trap. This is where the real Trojan horse enters the picture. It is not a physical weapon, but a legal one. Did you know your home was designed not to be as cool as possible, but to consume as much electricity as possible? This is where the legal Trojan horse enters your home. It is not a physical weapon, but a legal one. Every detail of your house is governed by model building codes. These include the International Energy Conservation Code, or IECC, and California's Title 24. Industry watchdogs point out that giant HVAC manufacturers and energy companies often hold seats on these code drafting boards. Through quiet legal lobbying, these corporations help write the rules. And critics argue they have reshaped the very definition of attic ventilation. The result of this influence is a massive push toward what the industry calls sealed attics. Instead of letting your roof breathe naturally with a free roof turbine ventilator, builders are now encouraged to seal everything. They spray thick chemical foam between your rafters. This spray foam turns your attic into an airtight plastic cooler. No air gets in and no air gets out. But this design has a dark structural flaw. Without natural airflow, moisture gets trapped inside the wood framing. Over time, this trapped humidity can rot your structural roof beams from the inside out. It is a recipe for mold and decay. To solve the very problem they created, the regulators introduced a new rule. They pointed to standards from organizations like ASHRAE, and they added a tiny, expensive clause to the building codes. Continuous mechanical ventilation required. To keep your sealed house from rotting, you are now legally forced to run an electric fan 24 hours a day. This is what experts call engineered dependency. It is a brilliant, self-serving loop. You buy a modern green home, but you must pay a lifetime electric bill just to keep your roof from collapsing. A 0-volt natural solution has been replaced by a machine that sucks power forever. But how much does this legal game actually cost you? Let us run the numbers. A standard active electric attic fan consumes between 150 and 300 watts. During those 4 brutal summer months, it runs for about 12 hours every single day. At the average U.S. electricity rate of 16 cents per kilowatt hour in 2024, the math gets ugly very fast. That active electric fan on your roof is sucking down 150 to 300 watts of power. If it runs for 12 hours a day during the 4 hottest months of the year, you are paying a hidden tax. That is an extra $100 to $150 added to your utility bills every single summer. But the electric bill is only the first layer of this financial trap. The real damage happens inside the brutal environment of your attic. In the peak of summer, attic temperatures easily soar to a blistering 150 degrees Fahrenheit. No cheap electric motor is built to survive that kind of torture. Most of these active attic ventilation fans burn out their copper coils in just 3 to 5 years. When it dies, you cannot just ignore it, or your roof will rot. So you call an electrician. Between the cost of the new unit and professional labor, you are looking at $300 to $500 per visit. Over a 15-year period, this endless cycle of failure and replacement drains $2,000 to $3,000 from your bank account. Now, look at the alternative. A classic wind-driven roof turbine ventilator costs absolutely nothing to run. Its total maintenance bill over those same 15 years is exactly $0. So why do builders and contractors still push the expensive electrical option? It is because they profit from the complexity while you pay the lifetime compliance tax. But you do not have to sit there and let your wallet be drained. There is a modern passive attic ventilation design that easily bypasses those strict HOA rules. It is completely flat, completely hidden, and highly effective. But before you install it, you must know about a deadly trap that contractors often set. There is a modern way to fight back. It is a passive attic ventilation system that is completely invisible to your HOA. This setup combines ridge vents on the peak of your roof with soffit vents under the eaves. As wind blows over the ridge, it creates a low pressure zone. This triggers the Bernoulli principle and the stack effect, pulling hot air out and drawing cool air in from below. It costs $0 to run and keeps your roof breathing naturally. But before you install it, you must watch out for a common contractor trap. Many lazy roofers will nail the plastic ridge vent directly onto your roof, but they completely fail to cut open the wooden plywood underneath. This leaves you with a useless plastic strip sitting on top of a sealed wooden box. Your attic remains a suffocating oven, and you are none the wiser. Fortunately, there is a simple way to catch this scam. On a bright, sunny day, climb up into your attic. Turn off your flashlight and look up at the very peak of the roof. If you do not see a continuous, glowing seam of daylight, your ventilation is fake. But a choked attic is only one way your home is losing the efficiency war. There is an even larger, systemic drain built directly into your walls. Why does the American power grid still rely on an inefficient 110-volt standard? Some experts argue this single design choice wastes billions of dollars every year compared to the global 220-volt standard. Click now to discover how this century-old decision is quietly draining your wallet.